Hey, how's it going? Myles here at Untitled Hyve, and today I want to give you my first impressions on a race gun that I've been playing around with, and that is Bul Armory's SAS2 SL SAW. So if you're interested in learning more about this gun from Israel, stay tuned. The Bul Armory SAS2 SL SAW. I know it's a mouthful. This is a gun that I've been wanting to test out for a while. So Bul Armory is known in the competition market as well as the defensive duty market, but this specific gun is a race gun, and Bul Armory is known, particularly in the international world, not necessarily in the US, although they're really moving into the US market. They're known for race guns that are ready out of the box, meaning you don't need to tune them, you don't need to change any of the springs, any of that, and it should run very, very well. And so Bul Armory sent me a gun to try out. I've had a lot of problems with race guns in the past, so they know that, so they sent me this gun, and I haven't put nearly as many rounds as I have in my other guns, so I'm just going to give you my first impressions. Everything can change, over time. I've put probably maybe 1,500 rounds through this, but if you watch my reviews, I like to really kill the guns, guys. So I mean, I like to shoot tens of thousands of rounds to them to really give you a good impression of what, how it performs and the reliability. Before I dive into my first impressions about the performance, reliability, and ergonomics, I want to talk a little bit about the gun itself. So the gun has a 5-inch bull barrel stainless steel top here, and it's called the SAW because it has these aggressive serrations, which I actually really like. I like to rack my slide. The serrations here are just very responsive. The bottom here is a polymer grip, and this is the first race gun I've used that has a stainless steel top. There's the stainless steel full dust cover here, but I've never used a race gun that has a polymer grip. And because of that, I found it as a kind of a refreshing difference. What do I mean by that? Because a lot of the race guns I use are much heavier. And to me, it doesn't really make that big of a deal when I'm holding a heavier gun. But once I picked this one up, it was lighter. It was lighter than the other guns that I use. And so it was kind of a pleasant surprise to be able to transition a little bit faster. Even though you think the weight is negligible, I guess if you're shooting a lot, you will notice a difference. You'll notice that this has a grip safety. Traditional 1911s will have that, and I believe in Israel, where this gun is made, this is something that they have to do. Right? They don't really mess around with their limited or standard division guns. Like this is a limited or standard division gun, depending on if you're shooting USPSA or IPSC. But this is something that I'm not really used to, so I've been getting used to it while I'm practicing. I don't really like guns with grip safeties, but I'm leaving this because this is how it comes to you. If you buy one, this is exactly what you're going to get. I've noticed that sometimes I don't really have a good purchase on the grip here, or ideal where it's actually pushed in all the way, and sometimes that can lock the trigger up, but more on that in a little bit. The grip being polymer, I thought that it wouldn't really have good texturing and just kind of slip off, but they did a really good job here, and my grip stays in place. With all the texture that they have in this grip, it's just enough that my grip's not slipping and sliding. You have adjustable rear sights as well as a bright red fiber optic. The trigger, as advertised, is going to be between 2 and 2.5 pounds when it gets to you. When I received this gun, I believe it was at 1.8, so it was lighter. And the trigger is really a nice crisp break, especially for a gun that's not going to be tuned right out of the box. It's just a really good trigger. The pistol has ambidextrous safeties here, okay, just as a normal 1911 or 2011 would. I do like the undercuts here on the trigger guard. That's very helpful to get nice high leverage on the gun. The magwell isn't standard with their limited or standard division guns, which this belongs to. So the SAS2 SL SAW would have a smaller magwell, but this comes from their open guns, and they sent this to me because they know I compete a lot. I like a bigger magwell. So this is an option. You could probably buy it aftermarket, just the magwell, and pop this in. And you could play with the balance as well, where if you wanted a heavier magwell, just simply because this is a polymer grip, right, not stainless, that can help balance out the gun to your liking. With my hand size and my shooting style, I really liked this mag release, and how it's positioned. I never ever hit it with my support hand. And I've had problems with other traditional race guns out there, 2011 companies. I will once in a while, especially if I'm going fast, I might hit that mag release and the mag comes out. I noticed with their mag release, not only is it a wide surface so I can hit it with my thumb easier, and typically I can't really hit this mag release on regular 2011s, but I can with this because it's a large surface, but also it doesn't stick out as much to the left here, right? And so that really helps me. For my grip style, I would typically hit the standard mag release, right, based on the standard length, but this one I don't. So I really like that. Going back to the grip and kind of now segueing into actual first impressions of the gun, when I held the gun, I noticed that their grip is wider. Okay, this way, okay, is definitely wider, and I'm still getting used to it. I don't feel like I have a 100% secure grip compared to my other race guns, but after shooting it a few times, so that was my initial impression, like, wow, it's kind of wide. I really have small hands. It may not be the best fit for me comfort-wise. But then I shot this more and more, and what I noticed is that by having a very wide grip, this forces me not to even try to squeeze around the grip. So I'm not activating my three amigos and potentially shanking the shot here, making sure the sights are going to be on target rather than squeezing hard and inadvertently forcing the sights off target. By having this wider grip, I'm focused on just the seat clamp pressure rather than gripping in all around. It's more of a seat clamp just on the front strap and the back strap. And it reminds me, just move your trigger finger. But at the same time, that has also caused some issues. I do find that when I shoot this, it's a little bit snappier than my other guns. And it's not necessarily the gun, it could be just getting used to it. But going back to the grip, because it's wider, sometimes I've noticed that my grip pressure on the back strap and on the front strap lets up a little bit, just because, again, it's thicker than what I'm used to. So I've noticed that when I shoot, it really flies up once in a while, especially if I'm not paying attention to my wrist tension and my grip tension. So you'll see that in some of the videos, it is popping up much more than I'm accustomed to. Although there's been more muzzle rise as I'm shooting this gun, I noticed that it tracks very well. What do I mean by that? Depending on who you talk to, it's not really a matter of whether a gun shoots flat, okay? So it doesn't matter if this goes really high or not. We're not talking anything outrageous here, okay? As long as it's not, every shot's not coming up all the way, nothing crazy. What's more important for a lot of shooters is that, do the sights come back down to where you originally started? So if the fiber optic, the front sight was right here, I take a shot, it goes up, does it come down exactly to where originally started? And I've noticed that this gun does, and there's not a lot of left and right movement. Of course, it'll come down to your grip technique as well and your experience level, but for me and my shooting style, it's just tracking up and down, which is great. I've been able to take double taps, meaning I don't have a second sight picture at all. I'm just predictably shooting at a target and I just let it fly, and all those shots are on target. Going back to the trigger for a little bit, I mentioned that when I got this, it was about 1.8, and it was a very crisp break. So there would be a little slack, I would get to the wall, and immediately upon squeezing or putting more pressure, there was a break. Now, after about 500 rounds, it has changed slightly. I do like a very, very crisp break. So as soon as I apply pressure, it breaks immediately. After about 500 rounds, it's no longer a glass break. There's a little bit of movement and then it breaks. For me, I like to intimately know my trigger and I like it to be consistent throughout. Some people like that. They want a little bit more of that roll into their trigger. I'm the opposite, but I did want to share that, because depending on your style of shooting, depending on the type of triggers you like, that may affect your opinion of the gun. But if you know proper trigger control principles, it shouldn't really matter that much, in the sense that you're going to be going straight to the rear, just pulling the trigger, squeezing the trigger with your index finger, and everything should be fine. It shouldn't disrupt your sights at all, and whatever you're aiming at, you should hit. The SL SAW uses proprietary mags. In fact, Bul Armory, a lot of the traditional 2011, 1911 mags out there, they won't work. So they have their own mag design. So when they sent me this gun, this I believe holds 17 rounds, if I remember correctly, maybe 18, might be 17 plus 1 in chamber here. And the mags that they provide you are flush because of IPSC rules here. This has to fit in a certain size box. There are companies that develop mags for them in the US market, like MBX. So you'll see this is a 20 round mag and it juts out, and this is more for USPSA divisions. So for some of you who are thinking you might be able to interchange your current mags out there, just keep in mind that with this particular gun, you will need to buy special mags. A normal 2011 mag will not fit. It just won't even seat. While we're talking about the mags, that's a good segue into what I haven't really liked thus far. And so it's not really about the gun, it's the mags. Because it's proprietary, you can't use other mags out there, traditional 2011, 1911 mags. What we noticed was, even when we bought these mags from MBX, we had to tune them. So right out of the box, even though they're made for this gun, they didn't work. I literally could not get one shot off. So even when doing this, racking forward, it would just get stuck. Right? So we had to tune the mags, and now they're working pretty well. There have been some malfunctions. Again, I think it's more mag related because we did a quick tuning job. It's running now, but we have to put a lot more rounds through it to see, what happens. A little bit about the performance. I really like the combination of the polymer frame and the stainless steel top. It does feel balanced, particularly with this heavier mag well here. And this could be why it's tracking so well for me up and down, and I don't, again, see a lot of movement left or right with the front sight. The trigger is really responsive. I did mention that it has changed after about 500 rounds, but I'm still able to run this really fast. The trigger has a very short reset and not that much take up. So this is something that out of the box, I'm pretty impressed with it. And now I'm just going to be using this a lot more, running in competitions, doing a lot more drills. And I plan to come back to you guys with a full review after I've put at least 10,000 rounds on this gun. I'm tracking everything. I want to know if there's any malfunctions, if the performance degrades, and what happens with the trigger. And while I'm doing this, I am not going to tune it. Meaning I'll keep track of how long this lasts until there's some catastrophic problems. Does it start at 5,000 rounds, the spring break or something like that? I'm just gonna run it until issues happen. So if I can't make it to 10,000 rounds, I don't make it to 10,000 rounds, but I will let you know. But so far, my first impressions are very positive. I really like the team over there at Bul Armory too. They're very responsive. They've worked with me in terms of, getting the right type of gun that I wanted to. This is a 40 cal. They also, I forgot to mention, they also have this in 9mm. But I'm curious as to what will happen after 10,000 rounds. I am going to start to compete with this just to get a good hang of it, also under stress and movement. So expect that full review to come sometime in the near future. First impressions though, really good gun. I haven't had any major catastrophic issues. As I talked about, probably the biggest gripes are the magazine, so that's magazine related. It's not really the gun. And again, this grip safety, which I'm not a huge fan of the grip safety, but overall performance is great. I hope you guys liked that first impressions video on the Bul Armory SAS2 SL saw. I'll leave a link below so that you guys can take a look at the gun yourself. It has been a pleasure to shoot so far, but I will circle back with a full review once we are done. If you guys liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.